how does one build prestige in the sight of others? And how does one maintain the prestige, the honor, the respect that others have for them? Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu has some very important advice about this. He says, "Man kathura dhihkuhu qallat haybatuhu." A person who laughs too much, always laughing at something. And this is that type of laughing which does not really have a genuine cause. They're just laughing at everything and anything without discernment. A person who laughs too much, their prestige will decrease in the sight of people, because people might start feeling that this person really does not have too much discernment, or maybe they don't have too much intelligence, or maybe they're not able to differentiate between what is truly humorous and what is not, what is actually funny versus what is not funny, or what is a cause of happiness versus what is not a cause of happiness. They might be laughing at an occasion where nobody should be laughing. It might be a very serious matter. It could be that someone has been hurt. It could be that you find out some sad news about someone, but this person just always laughs. So a person who is laughing without discernment, without differentiation between the occasion to laugh and the occasion not to laugh, this person's prestige will naturally decrease in the sight of people. So that's one thing. The second thing is, "Man kathura mizahuhu ustukhiffa bihi." A person who is always joking. Now, we all like people who can make light of things, can look at the lighter side of things, can help us smile, even in our times of difficulty, who can find the humor in things. And that is a good thing. But a person who is making jokes and sort of mocking things or putting a funny spin on things that are not actually funny, that are actually very serious, but they continue to joke about it, then what will happen is, ustukhifa bihi means that people will not take them too seriously. They will think that this person is not serious about life. They're not serious about people. They're not serious about situations. All they know how to do is joke. So the discussion is about maintaining prestige and having prestige in the sight of people and having that kind of relationship with people where people are not afraid of you, but people hold you in esteem. So the first was a person who laughs all the time without being able to understand the occasions of laughter versus the occasions of seriousness. And the person who is always making jokes, even if it's not the appropriate time or occasion for it, this person will lose their esteem in the sight of other people. Then he says, وَمَنْ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ شَيْءٍ عُرِفَ بِهِ. A person who does something all the time will be known by it. So if we have a habit that we are displaying in front of people, we are going to be known by that habit. This is natural. After that, if people attribute that act to us, when we're doing it all the time, then we shouldn't blame them, because we are in fact doing that thing. Now it's just a matter of whether we accept it or deny it. But a person who has a habit of doing things in a certain way will be known by that thing. So what he is telling us is, pause and reflect on the things that you do very, very frequently. It could be that this just happens. It could be that you're just doing it, not really thinking about it, but you're doing it anyways. But he says, whatever that thing may be, it could be a type of phrase that you use, it could be a language that you use, it could be an action that you do repetitively. People will attribute that action to you if you're doing it all the time. So at that time, don't be shocked or alarmed or disappointed or frustrated that, I don't want to be known by that thing. I don't want to be known as the person who does that thing. But if we're doing it, then it's going to happen. Then he goes further. He says, "Man kathura kalamuhu kathura saqatuhu." A person who speaks excessively will also make more mistakes, because as human beings, our tongues slip. Sometimes we choose the wrong words. Sometimes we use the wrong expression. Sometimes things don't come out the way we planned. And sometimes we're just plain careless. We're just saying anything and everything. Whatever comes to our mouth, we're just allowing it to project. So a person who does not have a sense of deliberation, a sense of thoughtfulness about their speech, they're going to make a lot of mistakes. Now what will happen is, if a person is making these types of mistakes all the time, they might just come to realize that this is how I speak. But he says that a person who is constantly making mistakes without having a filter, or without at least trying to stop themselves from making mistakes, and sometimes the mistakes are very serious, by the way. It could be that a person develops a habit of telling tales, bending the truth, covering up the truth. And it might happen once, but if a person doesn't stop them, it'll happen again and again and again. What do you think is going to be the outcome? People will say, this person is not very accurate in what they say. When that happens, when a person gets into the habit of making a mistake, especially in their speech, a strange thing starts happening inside. And that is, they stop caring what people think. And while in some contexts, it's a good thing to not care what people think because what we're doing is the right thing. But this person's mindset is going to be a little bit different. They're going to stop caring what people think because they say, this is who I am. And it doesn't matter if I'm wrong. It doesn't matter if I'm making a mistake. It doesn't matter if I'm inaccurate. It doesn't matter if what I said was not true. I said it, therefore you have to listen to it. This decreases and diminishes a very important quality of the believer, which is haya, shyness. And haya in Islam is to hesitate from doing something because of the negative impact it will have on others. Or to hesitate from doing something because it will be perceived as inappropriate, because it will be perceived as wrong. And the thing is, in fact, wrong or inappropriate or unadvisable. So when a person loses their haya, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If a person loses his haya, which is in fact a barrier, it is a filter from doing things or saying things that are inappropriate or perhaps indecent, then a person is capable of doing anything. Then he goes on to say that وَمَنْ قَلَّ حَيَاؤُهُ قَلَّ وَرَعُهُ. A person who loses their sense of haya also loses their piety because they no longer care. And even though the believer is supposed to have this awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah Azza wa Jal is watching, He is listening, He is all aware of everything that I'm doing. This is supposed to result in a person becoming a little bit more disciplined in their words and actions. But a person who loses their haya also loses their piety because they are not about to hesitate from doing whatever they do, even if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. And taqwa, wara', is one of the most prized treasures in our deen. Losing haya results in losing or diminishing our taqwa. That is a great blow to our deen. And he goes on to say, وَمَنْ قَلَّ وَرَعُهُ مَاتَ قَلْبُهُ. A person whose taqwa diminishes, decreases, or vanishes, this person's heart dies. It becomes lifeless. And when the heart becomes lifeless, it is no longer open to reminders. It is no longer open to advice. It is no longer susceptible to being touched. Sometimes it loses its sense of compassion. Sometimes it loses its sense of concern for other people. And sometimes it results in a person not caring about the outcomes of their actions. And all of that is a very, very dangerous road. Where did it begin with? A person laughs too much, then their prestige decreases. A person jokes too much, people stop taking them seriously. A person who does something excessively will be known by that thing. That act or that speech will be attributed to them. A person who talks too much unnecessarily, they're going to make unnecessary mistakes. A person who gets into the habit of making unnecessary mistakes eventually loses their sense of being shy, their sense of hesitation from those mistakes. When a person loses that sense, they ultimately lose their sense of taqwa. And when a person loses their taqwa, then the heart becomes hard and cold. What a beautiful advice, and what a comprehensive advice from Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu.